Okay, but how do you reparent yourself so you can actually build real emotional resilience and not feel overwhelmed by the prospect of being an adult or just navigating the world in general? I like to imagine what it would have been like to have a loving parent. And by loving, I don't mean um, that my parent was like altogether not nurturing in any way. It's just that the kind of love that I felt like I needed, that I didn't get. So I like to picture what kind of presence, what kind of person that my ideal parent would have been. Now, you might not have experienced what I experienced, but if you at all feel like you're out in the world and you feel like to a degree you've had to do it alone, you've had to raise yourself, or you don't quite know what it should feel like to be emotionally resilient, to be confident, to be emotionally strong, to feel mentally strong, to feel like you can overcome challenges. You're not just beating yourself up in cycles of shame, in cycles of self abandonment, neglect, self sabotage, fear, overwhelm, scarcity mentality, all these things. Right. If you're trying to figure out how to not do all that, I got some tips for you. So, one of the characteristics that I imagine my ideal parent would have been is not one of, I'm going to list all of them. Well, not all of them, some, but present, just being there makes a huge difference. Comforting, so just soothing me, grounding me, responding to when I'm in distress, patient, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and just feeling like I'm struggling, just somebody to be patient and say, it's okay, try again. Validating, when I feel like something unjust is happening, or, I'm feeling like the world is against me, someone to say, I understand that is very overwhelming. I understand that is very scary. I understand why you're frustrated. This is a difficult thing. Validating. Protective, protective. But someone to be like, doesn't matter what's out there, I've got you. If something happens to you, you call me. I've got your back. I will protect you. Encouraging. Again, that comes kind of in line with validating. But validating is more, it's like your feelings are valid, your overwhelm is valid, but the encouragement says, you can do it. You've got this. Keep trying. Try again. It's okay if you get it wrong. I love you regardless. Keep moving. Keep going. You've got, like that kind of deal. Now, it can be really, really hard trying to put yourself in a mental frame that you didn't you don't have a model for, per se. I think a lot of the time most of us are just replaying the model, the blueprint, the script that we already had. So from early childhood, the voices in our immediate family, our friends, our just our surroundings, we're either reliving the cycles of internal anxiety, trauma, fear, limiting beliefs, all that stuff, especially if it's gone unchallenged. Like if you haven't really taken the time to actually reflect, a lot of it is just going to be on replay, these old scripts. Now, in order to actually reparent yourself and build emotional resilience, you're going to have to stop playing the old script. How do you stop playing the old script? You catch yourself when you're in a cycle, or like you catch your thoughts when you're like criticizing yourself, or when you're like when you're being mean, or you're just like discouraging yourself, or you are being cynical, or impatient with yourself, or subjecting yourself to harm internally or externally, you catch yourself, you just a pattern interrupt. You say, okay, can I make a different decision in this moment? Can I input a different script, a different line in the script? Say maybe you can't scrap the whole script same time. Maybe you introduce a new character. Maybe you put a new line in the story and say something encouraging, like, yeah, you can do it. Or you say, maybe you are used to ignoring your bodily signals, and maybe you pattern interrupt by actually listening to your body and being like, oh, I'm actually cold right now, let me get myself a jersey. Or, oh, I'm really hungry. Or, oh, I haven't been feeding myself, well, I've been eating a lot of takeout, maybe I should look up a random recipe online and make some takeout. Not make some takeout. Make some a home cooked meal, and do a meal prep. That's what I was trying to say. But it's not necessarily difficult to love yourself or be an affirming presence. It's just we haven't practiced it enough, and so it's not going to come automatically. It's not going to be intuitive, especially if we don't have a model. We have to be intentional about interrupting those thoughts, those patterns of behavior, those inner narratives that have been such a deeply ingrained pattern in our mind and in our lives. And so I just want to encourage you that if you're trying to be the parent that you never had, you're trying to reparent yourself, please keep going. You absolutely can. And the thing about it is, it might seem small, it might seem insignificant, you might roll your eyes at it, but it actually makes a huge difference over time. And if you are not a person who prays much, or you've been doing the shadow work, you've been looking at all these different mental health resources and self-help books and things, but you're like, I don't know if religion is for me, or this element, you'll find that I talk a lot about it on my channel just because it's made a massive difference for me. I had been doing self-help for 3+ years, maybe longer. I've always been self-reflective, but actively I want to say around 3 years. And I have been doing research about complex trauma, complex PTSD. I've been doing research about developmental trauma disorder, kind of same, similar vibes, and ADHD and other things that were personally impacting my life. But a lot of it would help to a degree, but my core identity didn't really shift until I started pursuing a faith, my faith. And until I started getting to know who my creator created me to be. And I really want to challenge you to be open to that as well, just to see what that does for you. I know what I believe. I'm not gonna you'll if you come across more of my future videos, you'll know. But that I don't want to harp on that right now, but I want to challenge you to also go back to the source. Ask God. I really have a hard time being self-compassionate. I really have a hard time validating myself. I really have a hard time seeing myself as worthy or significant in any way. Please help me with that. Help me to see myself with the same, the way that you see me. Help me to understand my significance and why you created me. You can also just ask God. For me, having a relationship with God made a huge difference. It made a huge difference. But Like, if you're not ready for that, that's okay. I promise you though, like, just doing these couple of things, being present with yourself, being a comforting, and by comfort, you can literally put your hands on your chest and say, it's okay. I'm okay. Like that, it could be as simple as that. Being patient with yourself when you're going through a difficult thing and being like, okay, it's fine. I made a mistake, or like I want to keep trying at this thing, or oh, that maybe you're painting or something, and you're getting frustrated, or you're comparing yourself to somebody else, and you can literally in that moment choose, instead of being like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb, it's not worth it, you can choose to be like, it's okay, it doesn't have to look perfect. Like literally, that is such a major pattern interrupt that can lead to so many like wonderful things of your inner self just feeling more comfortable to express yourself in more context. But I promise you, relational harm, relational trauma, it sometimes does require like relational healing, but you can do so much by you just being a loving presence, by you intentionally choosing not to re-perpetuate the harm that was done to you. I really hope that makes sense. But yeah, try to be the loving presence that you wish you had. And I didn't finish listing those off: patience, validation, protection, and encouragement. There's obviously more to it. But yeah, if you want to hear more about that, just stick around, interact with the video, do all the things, share, like, comment, subscribe, and remember to be kind to yourself. You deserve kindness, and if not from anybody else, at least from yourself. Okay? I love you. I'm rooting for you, and I will see you in a future video.